Yes. Yeah, sending it. I'm creating it. Girls, stop here. Right, you can get a comb. A brush. A round brush. Yeah, there you go. Looks easy. Thank you. Down it's better. Job well. You can place on it. Okay. Yeah. Where's the sun? No. No. I'm just wearing a tie. Yeah, okay. You're a geek. Okay. It goes call Dada goes. You call her, my son. We'll see all this. Dada, we're going to pray, Dada. We're going to pray, Dada.
I want to make the last time was delayed with the video, so I want to make sure I get that first. This one.
Same. Or everybody?
Anyone.
Any one person?
Yeah, yes, get it. Who's going to pray? Who's pray? Okay, baby.
Dear Father, as Anna takes another call, Lord, let this call go well, Lord. As Anna has back-to-back calls, Lord, let everything go well, Lord. Anna be calm, Lord. Please put wise words in Anna's mouth, Lord, and let them all be whoever Anna's calling, Lord, let the person be shocked, Lord, by what Anna says, Lord. In Jesus' name we ask, amen.
Amen. Bless Son with wisdom, divine wisdom, abounding, incredible godly wisdom.
Amen.
வளர்ந்துட்டே போகுது என்னமா அது பண்றது Excuse me, miss, you can't be taller than your father. Okay, continue with your work, babies.
They watch it live on their desks, no?
Oh, they do?
Oh, all of us. Even the last time.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see 4 people watching live.
I saw ultimately 9 views of the call. Okay, good.
Hmm? Are you in a good faith? Always. Never. Just making sure. Did you that? You want some basket? No. It's on the right hand side.
manage the close of the call button,
Permanent?
like to move from the scroll.
Correct. Yes.
You keep tracks.
I will. Yes. I have the phone here, which has the Outlook. Darla has still not sent the link, so worst case, I'll have to send a link to Hopkins. I can actually check. She's.
Okay.
Meaning I've asked her. I just a quick. Hi Darla, if you could send the link, it'd be wonderful. But she is still not.
Okay. You want to send the link now? Okay.
Send the link. Send my own link now, then.
Yeah. So Hopkins, I can get a link from Darla. There's a backup link, just in case. She's too busy.
Hello, Miss Hirsch.
Ethan, how are you?
I am well. How have you been? How was your day?
Good.
So
Good.
far?
Yeah, today's one of those days. Normally on Tuesdays I work from home, and so
Okay.
I start early. I work a lot. Today there's you probably know this already, that ASU is divided into the knowledge enterprise, the academic enterprise, and the learning enterprise. Decision Theater is part of the knowledge enterprise, and we have a town hall in the afternoon. So I have to get like a whole day's worth of work done
Okay.
before I leave to the town hall. But I am excited to talk to you, and I saw your email, and I'll try to address some of these things. I probably can't address all of them, but
As
we
much
can
as-
kind of prepare for when you meet with the project team.
Of course. So the demo is on the 19th, and so I know Dr. Lobitler is a very, very busy man. He did mention it on the call, but other than that, I've not gotten a confirmation yet as to the demo itself. So is President Crow still expected? And it is, I assume.
Oh, he invited you to the demo with President Crow?
Yes.
I was not aware of that.
Okay.
So Manfred is amazing at a lot of things. Communication is not one of them.
Okay. Yes, but he did. I did have a call with him on last week, and
Okay.
he did say that it would be wonderful if I could come in. Yeah. And
Got
meet
it.
the person
Okay.
during the demo. So that demo
Um,
is. I'm not even sure about the timing. He did. I think 12:45 on the 19th.
So it's currently scheduled from 12:45 to 1:30.
Okay.
I know, let's see. We usually have, so we give like 15 minutes from 12:30 to 12:45 to kind of like prep and anticipate and kind of all get on the same page as far as what we want to accomplish, how we're leading it, what the structure is, and everything like that. And then he'll be there. And the idea is for this to be not so much a traditional demo, but an actual like interactive work session where he comes in to play with the model
Okay.
and bring forth insights and that kind of a thing. So I will confirm with Manfred and with Chelsea, who's leading the demo, that there's no concerns about kind of bringing in another participant. I'm guessing since he invited you, there are no such concerns. But when President Crow's involved, I just like to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can forward you kind of the official invite. I can forward you the map for how to get to us. And I would say, probably plan to come around noon so that you have time to kind of get settled and on the same page with everyone before we get going.
As for parking, I don't think I've ever parked for the decision theater. So because I usually get it validated.
Got it.
So what is this like?
So this is an interesting one, and I have to reach out to HR because I know that for staff, faculty, and student workers, we are not allowed to validate, but I think for a volunteer, we can.
Okay.
So I'm going to find out because I know we went through this when it took a while for our staff to get parking permits. We're not allowed to validate for anyone who works for us, but I think a volunteer might be different. So there's two different parking options. There's parking in the Brickyard Garage, which is right underneath our building. And so Mary will send you the official map, but I can show you on Google Maps super quickly. Hold on one second. I have so many tabs open. Hold on. Switch over to satellite view. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen super quickly. Okay. So can you see Google Maps here?
Yes.
Okay. So will you come down Mill, do you think, or come down Rural?
Likely Mill.
Mill. Okay, that's the easiest. So you'll come down Mill from whatever, the 202 or wherever you come from, right?
Okay, yeah.
You come down Mill, and the easiest way is to turn on this 7th Street.
All right.
Here. And then in between Myrtle and Forest, there's an entrance to the garage. So you kind of pass, this is where Decision Theater actually is. You pass, and then there's an entrance here to an underground garage. That's where we can validate.
Okay.
There's also metered spaces all up and down the street. So that's another option to you if I find out that we can't validate. You're also welcome to park underground. It's just kind of pricey. I think they charge like $4 an hour or something like that.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, and then how would I get it validated? I just bring it to the front.
Yeah, Mary can take care of it as soon as I get permission.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, Mill is will be coming, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it's really simple. The easiest way, there's an entrance to the garage on 6th Street too, right at this cul-de-sac.
Okay.
It depends which way you want to go into the garage, really. For some reason, there's always like a truck blocking the cul-de-sac or blocking the entrance to the garage. So I tend to go in on 7th Street, but you can also come in via 6th Street, and then you would park. You would take the elevator up. It'll let you out here, and then the Decision Theater is right across the way.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
And you have my cell number to call if there are any issues or anything like that. If you have any problems, I can meet you and direct you back into the building. But I do think like the demo. So I misunderstood, and partially it was because I was on vacation. But I thought that Manfred had invited you specifically to give you an opportunity to walk through the model and ask questions of the research team and that kind of thing. But what it sounds like is that he's inviting you to observe the session with President Crow.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that will be a different experience, right? It'll be more kind of watching how he interacts with it, seeing what kinds of things he brings up and what kind of opinions he has. And then I would recommend maybe planning to stay afterwards. We always do a debrief, and that would be the time to kind of ask your own questions or any of your own concerns or those kinds of things. President Crow tends to, you know him, you've met him. He tends to dominate a room when he's in it. And this is the first time he's seeing it. And so we really want to give him the opportunity to kind of like riff and say all the things he wants to say. But then we can make sure that there's time afterwards where you can ask the types of questions that you have. But that being said, I think it would be helpful, especially for this kind of session, for you to know more about the model going into the engagement. Like, it a little bit worries me to put you in a room with President Crow to talk about a model that you don't know anything about and you haven't seen.
One final question. I do know you have a lot to discuss. Do you know if there's
Yeah.
anyone else that will be attending the demo?
So right now the plan was to keep it very, very small. And so Manfred, Chelsea, who's our director of strategy and impact, she's usually the person who kind of like does the human-centered design, the facilitation, walks through the tools with people. So she'll kind of be leading that conversation, and she has a flow and a plan of how she wants to do that. And then Satish, who did all the calculations for the calculator, he'll be in the room. The plan was for all the rest of us to be in the control room. So like me, Shri, Ramesh, like the other people who are involved in the project, we're going to observe from the control room just to kind of help with the balance. I don't know, it always feels a little weird when it's like an army of decision theater people and one guest.
Yeah.
The other person who's planning to attend is someone named Eric Spicer from the ASU Foundation. He's the liaison to the funder and their board of trustees.
Okay.
And so he was going to be there again to kind of see when we might bring the funder in to kind of have a workshop, those types of conversations. As of right now, I believe those are the only people who are supposedly in attendance. It looks like maybe one or two other people were invited, but I think they're on the administrative side. I think they just hold President Crow's schedule. I don't think they'll actually be there.
Okay, thank you.
So it's going to be really small. That's why I was surprised. And Manfred, there's always a method to his madness. I trust him implicitly, but I was just surprised because the goal was to kind of keep it really buttoned up. And really let him just kind of get in there and play without kind of feeling like he's in a zoo of people watching him play with the tool. You know what I mean? But I'll confirm with Manfred and with Chelsea, and then I'll send you all the information to join. And then I do think if we can take the next 15 or 20 minutes to just talk about the tool a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think I have access to it yet, so I can't actually pull it up for you. But I can give you a little bit of background, a little bit of information that I think would be useful. But before I do that, just wanted to see if you have any other questions.
No, I mean, I do have many questions, but nothing else. I mean, I did kind of outline in my email to you kind of all the things I want to go over. And of course, I do have a meeting at 11:30. So if we do end up not being able to cover everything, then if you could send me perhaps an email with any other info that you have, or maybe you have any documents with this, they're absolutely wonderful. Please.
Yeah, I don't know which documents I can share and not share, but I'll go ahead and put them up on the screen while we talk.
Thank you.
1 second. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is share the slides from our initial kind of project launch meeting. I think they're helpful in giving you a little bit of a sense of goals of the project, how we did it, the different phases. I saw a lot of your questions that kind of were like, how are we going to do this? Or what part of the project is this? And so this kind of gives you a baseline for what was funded as this part of the project. Okay, big picture overview, right? Arizona's health system is ranked 34 out of 51 states plus DC. ASU and ASU Health have a mandate to serve the community in which we live by improving the health system of Arizona. And it's interesting because this Commonwealth Fund report, which is kind of a widely agreed upon starting point, is not so much an indicator of health as much as an indicator of the quality of the health system. And so that's like an important distinction, the difference between measures that actually look at the health of a community and the health system of a community. But again, this is what we have as a starting point. It's widely agreed upon. It's widely trusted. And so we started with the Commonwealth Fund report. Step one was figuring out which metrics are tracked and then dynamically model how those indicators impact rankings. So the Commonwealth Fund report is made up of 73 indicators. There are 6 categories. And there's a calculation behind the scenes of how much each kind of indicator contributes to that overall ranking. So it was like reverse engineering that was the first piece of the puzzle. Step 2 is then to work with experts to identify the possible drivers or interventions that can impact each indicator, right? So if an indicator is, I don't know, number of uninsured under the age of 18, right? What are different possible drivers or interventions that could improve that metric, right? Decrease the number of uninsured. Step 3, facilitate engagements with ASU Health and others using this dynamic model to identify which indicators ASU will prioritize and which interventions would be helpful to model. And so we can't do everything all at once, especially not with limited funding. So the idea is to have these engagements with Arizona Department of Health Services, stakeholders at ASU, experts in the field, to kind of tackle, okay, if this is a problem we want to address, where do we start? Where are we most likely to be able to move the needle? And then what would it look like to model the effects of some of those interventions and look at the consequences? I don't know if you need this, but we found it helpful for staff, right? We're talking about interventions, we're talking about drivers, we're talking about indicators, and we're talking about rankings. That can be a little overwhelming as to what the different distinctions are between those terms. This is our ranking, right? That's the number we are at 51. This is an example of an indicator, adult skipping care due to cost. A driver for that could be the average cost of medical services, and an intervention could be building more low-cost clinics, right? And so each piece affects the other. And the idea being that right now, we can model those last two, right? How does changing an indicator with like a magic wand type of solution affect the ranking? We're going to be researching those interventions and drivers because that's really hard to do. And interventions and drivers affect multiple indicators, right? It's not just a one-to-one ratio. And so looking at that complex ecosystem is not simple. This is our initial investment from the Piper Charitable Trust. We have the prototype ready for engagements. That is true. It's now March, but the prototype has been ready since February. We've just had a really hard time scheduling engagements because people are busy, right? And so we have a long list of people that we have reached out to start scheduling those engagements, and we're getting those on the calendar. And then the final deliverable for this phase is due in August. This is our team. And then this is a little bit of the background. I think this is the kind of thing that might be interesting to you and kind of addresses some of those questions that you were getting at.
Yeah.
And so each individual indicator is Z-scored across the states, and then each dimension score is the equal weighted average of the indicator scores for that dimension, right? So it gets a little more into the weeds of how we do this and how we look at the variation across states and identify the gaps within states. And so you'll see it when it gets to the screen, but what we're able to do is basically select an indicator, look at our rank neighbors, look at who's doing it best and worst, look at how things are improving or deproving, I don't know what the word is, decreasing in quality over time, right? And so we can really dig into each individual indicator and then look at how much each indicator can move the needle. These are the 6 dimensions that the Commonwealth Report indicators aggregate up to. So 73 indicators across these 6 categories, right? Access and affordability, prevention and treatment, avoidable hospital use, healthy lives, income disparity, and racial equity. This is where Arizona currently scores. Oh, excuse me 1 second. I'm going to mute you for 1 second.
Of course.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Hopefully it gave you a chance to look at some of this data. And so basically saying, you know, there are categories here where we're doing pretty well. Avoidable use and cost, we're doing pretty well. Access and affordability, prevention and treatment, that's where we're really doing poorly. And so does that mean that we want to dig more into those categories? I don't know. We have to explore the data, right, and see where we feel like we can have some add value. And so this is just looking at some of the math behind the scenes. Again, I'm not a mathematician, I'm an operations person, so Satish is the winner of digging into some of these things. But the idea being that, the screens will allow you to do something like make a 5% change in a single indicator, which isn't going to move the needle very much. You can also do a 5% across the board improvement, but your chances are that you're going to be able to make a 5% across the board improvement is low. And so what kind of combination can you look at that can both improve the ranking and that you actually feel is doable and able to make improvements? Let's see. Okay, so this is phase 1, right? This is what's covered by our first batch of funding: the baseline assessment, the geographical analysis of indicators, dynamic modeling of indicators to ranking, identification of key drivers, and interventions to research, right? That's phase 1. But that's gonna identify those areas for improvement. It's not going to improve them. And so then we kind of have identified, here are the things we want to do, right? Dynamic modeling of the drivers to indicators, alongside intervention strategy and partnership building, right? Because ASU Health is going to be able to do some of this, but we're going to also have to partner with the state and entities outside of ASU Health in order to make some of these real world changes, real world implementation, and then scale up and replicate for other states. And that's particularly interesting because if the idea is to improve our ranking, on the one hand, what a great commercial product that you could sell to other states to improve their ranking. On the other hand, if they improve their ranking, it will also affect our ranking, right? So it's a complex system. The other thing that's not built into this tool is we're assuming that we do work to improve our ranking while the other states stay static, right? We aren't also investigating what other states are doing to improve and how that may change the ranking. We're just looking at what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then again, these are some of the things I think that you had mentioned also that we would want to do in the future, right? And then let's see. I won't go too much into this, but this is the idea of kind of like the big picture of where we're going. Like I said, the tool is done. It's really fun to play with.
Okay.
It's really well done. And so basically on screen 1, you kind of have the input map where you can look at how Arizona compares to other states, look at the rankings of the different states, look how we're, and it's kind of, man, I wish I could log in. It's divided up by quartiles. So kind of looking at, you can get at a quick glance by color who's doing really well, who's doing poorly, how are we comparing to other states around us, et cetera, et cetera. Any guesses on which state is number 1 and which state is number 51?
Is it Massachusetts? I don't know, Minnesota?
So Massachusetts is number 1.
Okay.
And Mississippi is number 51.
Mississippi, yeah.
Yeah. So the South tends to have really poor health outcomes, and I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm pro-Massachusetts.
Oh, really? That's what I wanted
I'm a
to know.
product of the Massachusetts education system, and Massachusetts does things well. It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but it does things well. And then second screen is kind of like these tiles where you can start to dig into all the indicators by category. You can favorite some, you can hide some if you don't think, hey, I'm not going to be able to change this, or, this one doesn't really interest me, and it can be by group, right? So basically each view can be customized and then saved. And so on the third screen, you start to look at those comparisons, look at timelines, et cetera, and then you kind of start to play with it using the magic wand, right? And so if we wanted to make an across-the-board improvement, if we wanted to only adjust the favorited indicators, if we wanted to, do a statistically ideal scenario with the favorite indicators, those kinds of things. And then there's actually a screen with sliders where you can kind of get more granular and play. And then you hit calculate and it tells you, okay, after all that work we've done, what would our rank be now? And the idea being that people can then save that view, generate a PDF kind of report, and then once we've realized what are the kind of ideas that are generated in those sessions, we can start to research those drivers and interventions and then model them out.
Got it.
So that's the concept. I know you have a meeting in 6 minutes. I know I addressed just a small amount of your questions, but does it help a little bit better to understand kind of the concept of the project?
It does. I do understand, I think, quite a bit. I think you've gone into great detail as to what the project is looking at and a bit of, I guess, under the hood. I was kind of wondering if you had any more information on of course you did share, but in several phases, but the goals for the project, right? So who will this project or this prototype or whatnot, who will this tool be used for? And is it the governor's office who is the main, or what is the...
Hopefully there'll be a user, but they're probably not the main user. The partner that we're working with on this project is Arizona Department of Health Services.
Okay.
And so the idea being that it's like a trifecta. It's Decision Theater, ASU Health, and Arizona Department of Health Services. And this idea that ASU Health was spun up in large part because President Crow saw this Commonwealth Fund report, saw that we were 34th, and was like, that's unacceptable. Arizona shouldn't be 34th. It should be significantly higher than that. I'm going to build a med school to help, right? This is like how President Crow does things, right? And it's not just going to be a med school, it's going to be an ecosystem that's about the health of Arizona. And so it includes the College of Health Solutions, it includes nursing, it includes the School of Technology and Public Health, it includes the Health Observatory, which really is a kind of repository of health data. It includes a lot of different things. And so the idea being, let's figure out a way for ASU Health to most substantially help the community it serves. And then let's find ways to share that with the Department of Health Services. And, it's an underfunded department. What are ways that we can make their life easier, make their life better by giving them access to a tool like this? And so that's kind of the idea. We're starting with these facilitated engagements, like I said, and then we'll go from there to the next phases. And this is something that's pretty common at Decision Theater, where we haven't already decided what the answer is or what the best thing to do is or where the whole project is going to go. That's informed by these stakeholder engagements, because there's nothing that experts in a field like less than when a researcher who doesn't know anything about their life's work comes in and says, we figured out the solution for you.
Yeah.
And so it's really that co-development and that co-creation that's so important. And then the insights from those stakeholder engagements will guide the rest of the conversation.
Got it. Okay.
So that's the idea. I know you had a lot more questions, and I think once you've kind of seen the tool, we can have more of a conversation about, what are those next steps? Do you want to be involved in any capacity? Who would you work with if you do? That kind of thing. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to touch base with Manfred on this yet, so I don't know what he had in mind when he invited you. If it was like, oh, and then, if it was more like, hey, President Crow recruited Nathan here, we want them to get them together so he can see that Nathan's already involved in projects, or if it's, hey, we really want Nathan involved in this particular project, or if it's, we want Nathan to see kind of an example of a current flagship project. I'm not sure what he's thinking. So I'll check with him, and then I can kind of give you some more guidance on that one.
Of course, Karen. And yeah, this is very exciting, especially because come fall, I will be engaging with ASU Health through an MD that I'm doing there. But one final question, that I did have is if you would know, when you look at I'm not sure how involved you were in this development of this prototype, right? Would you know if there were any challenges, perhaps, that were identified, and do you know what they would
Um,
be?
so the fun thing about being an operations person is usually once a project kind of gets moving and comes alive, I sort of step back. I do a lot of the business development, the proposals, a lot of things at the front end. And then once it's in its implementation phase, I kind of step back. I have been attending the weekly meetings for this particular project just because it's so high profile and there's a nice chunk of funding associated with this phase. There are always challenges, right? Even just last week, because of some like little tiny mathematical rounding type things, there was like a screen where you could put in like, oh, I want to change our rank from 34th to 28th, right? And then it's supposed to tell you the calculations to get that to happen. And then when you hit calculate, it said we were 29th, right? Because of like a teeny tiny rounding error. Satish was able to figure out a way around that, right? I think on the back end, you kind of like calculate and then you calculate again, and it got it right. And it had something to do with, I can't remember. I'm not a mathematician. I won't even attempt to describe it. But overall, this phase of the project is really straightforward, right? We were able to reverse engineer those calculations of the Commonwealth Fund report because we had partners at the Commonwealth Fund who kind of helped us figure out how they do their data collection and data analysis. They were willing to share their data with us. But there's challenges all along the way, right? And there's decisions that have to be made all along the way. So for example, on screen 4, you can look indicator by indicator and see like what a 5% baseline or a 10% baseline change would make if you made that change in one indicator, how much it would affect the ranking. And it's like 0.0001%, right? Because there's 73 indicators. And so trying to find a way to communicate to the public, like what that means and how we calculated it, right? That's a challenge. There's always challenges, right? Do we want to look at the county level? Do we want to look all the way down to the census tract, right? We found there's a measurement that the ADHS uses called CSAs, which I think is like county statistical areas or something like that, right? And so at what level of granularity do you want to look at or aggregate the data? At what level of granularity do you have the data? And so there's decisions that have to be made all along the way. And those are the kinds of things that are discussed in those weekly meetings, right? Do we want to have a map that's shaded and the darkest is number 1 and the lightest is number 51? Do we want to have it by quartile? Do we want to have the state names on the map? Like there's decisions that have to be made all along the way. Do we want to only be able to favorite things on this screen, or do we want to also be able to favorite things on this screen and have them reverse engineer? And so there's challenges all along the way, but this particular piece of the puzzle is pretty straightforward as far as a DT project. Like it's a magic wand calculator, right? It's not the most complicated thing we do.
All right. Well, I do have a meeting to jump to, but thank you so
Great.
much for your time.
Okay,
I believe
perfect.
you're going to check on Manfred.
Yeah, I will
with
check and I
Manfred.
will follow up with you today.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen.
All right, thanks,
If there's
Nathan.
any other info, please share with me. That would be wonderful. All right, you have
Will
a
do.
wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.
I was wondering what Zoom room you would be in.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Hopkins. I did come off of a meeting with someone at Decision Theater, so that did go over.
There you have it.
Yeah.
And look at that facial hair.
I do have to. Well, how have you been, Mr. Hopkins? It's been a minute, I must say. So how have you been?
It has been a minute. So tell me how your meeting with the Decision Theater went.
This one was just, I am attending a demonstration of a health metrics project, or not that President Crow will be at on the 19th. This is just kind of going over that, going over what he would kind of look at as we get into that, right? Decision Theater has overall been great. I've been talking with Dr. Labickler. I have come up with several, meaning I shared with him 52 and then another 22 different paper proposals that I'm kind of going over him with as we kind of try to calibrate and see what we look at. I'm going with him on the piece of NVIDIA and that kind of NVIDIA ASU partnership, how we harness that for Decision Theater and for ASU. And then, of course, this health metrics sort of project is just another piece of that. Yeah, it's going well.
How have you been?
I have been well. My family's been well. Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And here you are as a PhD student.
I am, yeah. Dr. Labickler has been very accommodating of everything, and it's been wonderful, this entire piece.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I wanted to see you more than anything and catch up, and like you said, it has been a minute.
It has.
Here we are in the middle of March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will be on the 19th, other than going into Decision Theater to kind of meet with Dr. Labickler and President Keren and whatnot. I will also be going into the Walton Center, kind of. I hope to meet Dean Kittleson, as well as a few other individuals there. So it's
Good.
An ongoing thing, yeah.
Good. Have you been spending much time on campus?
On campus, not too much. Of course, I do have meetings with Dr. Labickler and other individuals at Decision Theater, right? I did meet Mr. Sala, as well as, there are quite a few people that I've been talking to, but not too much on campus, no.
Okay. So you feel good about how you're managing it from Command Central? Nathan Mothen,
yes,
Moses Command Central.
I do. Yeah, I definitely would love to come in when things like this happen, like this demo. So, otherwise, yeah, it's been wonderful so far.
Well, how exciting on the 19th. I wish I were around. That is a vacation day for me. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm glad that you get to interact with President Crow that day.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, just came out from meeting kind of discussing that. Yes, Mr. Hopkins.
Good. Well, life is going just fine for me. I have made a decision at the end of this academic year that I'm going to be retiring.
Okay. Well, I wish you a very happy retirement.
So please pass that information along to your parents, or if you're willing, you can email them from either your student email address, your personal, and include me, because I'd like to share a few sentiments with them.
I will, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
But yes, so after 17 years here, I turned 65 in January.
Okay.
And just the timing is right. So it's my next chapter.
Okay, well, I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Across everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your studies as you continue to move on. I know you're in a kind of a 6-credit class right now. Do I have that right?
Yes, I believe that is correct. And it would be increased to 9 credits, I think, at some point as I keep going on. This entire idea of going across the research piece, I believe that's what it's called. And of course, Dr. Labickler has been very ambitious, but also very flexible in how we kind of approach this, because this is, I guess, a new type of PhD, right? So as we kind of approach it from that different path, that's how we're kind of...
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It's your journey. And so what about the other areas of interest as you've continued to map this out with him?
So of course they will be kind of interlinked with my efforts at Decision Theater, as well as I look forward. Come fall, of course, I will be starting my PhD with the SCAI, as well as my MD. So as we look toward that, it's kind of just pulling everything together and kind of implementing pieces of that across all my efforts in Decision Theater and beyond.
You say you're going to start your MD program?
Yes, so the plan is for the PhD in AI and MD to be starting for 26.
So you've applied to the School of Medicine and Medical Engineering.
I have not, as of yet, not through that formal process, so I'll have to work with some individuals. I think Dr. Lobickler spoke about connecting me with some people, and so we'll have to see how that kind of shapes
I see. Okay.
as we get closer to fall 26.
Okay. Is there anything I can help you with?
Nothing at all, Mr. Hopkins. How have you been? I mean, it's been some time. We used to connect every few weeks, so I'm just hoping
I
you're well.
know. Well, I think of you all the time, but I also know that this is your journey, right? And so off you go, and hopefully you're in a good place. It seems like you're invigorated
I
with
am.
what you're doing and accomplishing, and
Yeah, I do love the pace here. I do love the work here. Seems to be very high impact, high value, which I love. So, yeah.
good.
Well, I have no questions. I just wanted to meet you. It's been some time, but I do wish you the best on your retirement.
Well, thank you. And again, please let your parents know as well, because I would like to send them an email of thanks
I
as
will,
well.
of course. Yeah, I will. Kind of like an email trail, and then add you to it, if I understand. Right?
Good.
I will.
How are your sisters?
They're well. They are following in my footsteps, so to speak. So they're continuing with their own education, and yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for fitting me in today.
Of course,
I really
Mr.
appreciate
Hopkins.
it. I'm
Thank you
glad
so
that
much.
you're doing well. Best wishes on Thursday.
Thank you.
I know that's the first time in a long time that you've had personal time with President Crow.
It is, yes. So,
Good for you.
all right.
Wonderful.
All right,
All right, Nathan. Please, I look forward to hearing from you and including your parents.
I will
And
definitely do that.
you know, I'm here through the end of June. You've got my work mobile,
I do.
and I'd be more than happy in that to also share my personal mobile. We're staying here in the Valley. I will always be connected in some way with ASU. And so even though my journey is going off this way, I would enjoy hearing from you and see how your journey is taking you.
Of course, Mr. Hopkins.
All right. All right.
All right, Mr. Hopkins. I don't want to take
All right.
any more of your time. Thank you so much.
All right. Be well.
You will.
All right. Bye bye.